Ladies and gentlemen, the Resident Evil 4 remake has arrived, and all I can say is the Ballistics have been secured. They might have removed any dialogue referencing them, and every gaming journalist cried tears of joy and relief, but you cannot censor natural, God-given beauty. I mean, god damn. I don't know what kind of sorcery Capcom did, but somehow they finally made a remake that's actually faithful to the original. Yes, in a shocking turn of events, for the first time since the Resident Evil 1 remake all the way back in 2002, they actually made a game that's actually on par with the original, even with its shortcomings, which the Resident Evil 1 remake didn't have, but we're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about the things that are awesome, the things that kind of make you want to get suplexed into Ada's
Leon.
I do not love you, Alfred! Yes, they do!
Then we're going to talk about the things that aren't bad, aren't good, that just could have been a little bit better, and then we'll talk about the bad because, well, it's a modern AAA game, you know, it's gonna have some kinks. The new combat feels really nice and fluent. Even if it's a big adjustment from the original, I can definitely see myself going back to the original and trying to parry my way out of a lot of situations. There's also stealth mechanics now.
They can't see me.
Every single area of the game was also expanded upon. There was only one area that was cut, and it was the boss battle with the U3, which I'll get into in a little bit. There's tons of side missions now, which can give you spinels that you can use to trade in for certain items, and overall the trading system and the treasure hunting was greatly improved, with different gem combinations having different effects on pricing. It's all very in-depth and really, really awesome. A lot of areas that were met in the original were actually greatly improved as well. For example, the Minecraft segment was kind of an inconvenience after a few playthroughs of the original, but they made it a lot more exciting and thrilling. And all the other areas, like the village especially, have all been completely fleshed out. Some areas were completely reworked to the point that they actually were made way better. Like, for example, the hive for the Novistadors is now this really beautiful, decaying dining hall kind of chamber. Overall, the game just looks really, really gorgeous. The mob costume also came back for Leon to represent his Italian heritage.
He was a brave Italian explorer.
They also finally listened to fans to have the jacket as an actual outfit, and there's also accessories to go along with the customization as well. A lot of the weapons have been greatly improved. For example, the riot gun is now my main Ganado problem solver.
This is my problem solver right here. It's my baby, you got a problem. I'll solve it.
The shooting gallery is also now pirate themed, and it's really fun to play, and this was another thing that was also expanded upon, because now the charms you win from them have in-game effects as well if you equip them to your attaché case. And also, if you're playing through a segment that has a shooting gallery and you're with Ashley or Lewis, they actually come into the shooting range with you, and they'll also comment on your shooting. If you aren't familiar with the plot of Resident Evil 4, so basically, this old guy with a cane finds some ancient DNA fossilized in some amber on a remote island he wants to bring back to life and decides he wants to share it with the world. Wait, no, that's Jurassic Park.
I simply wish to share this gift with as many as possible.
Everyone in the world has the right to enjoy these animals.
So yeah, basically there's this senior citizen that wants to take control of the United States, known as Lord Sadler. He has a cult that kidnaps the president's daughter and infects her with a mind control parasite, and when they send a single special agent named Leon Kennedy there with a pistol and a used tampon to rescue her, and then the cult also infects him. And from the opening cutscene, this game lets you know the story is way darker this time around. And overall, the story was just reworked to actually tie the games better to the previous entries, which the original did not do. Leon and Ashley's infection actually has a way heavier impact on the story and really adds a new level of stakes to the plot. All the side characters, specifically Lewis and Krauser, got so much more of their characters fleshed out, and it was honestly awesome that they were able to keep the over-the-top aspects of their personalities, but just also flesh them out so faithfully. With Lewis getting a full story arc and playing a crucial part of the whole game now, and adding onto his backstory that he was actually a researcher for Umbrella and the same team that actually worked on the Nemesis project. And then with Krauser, you have all the references to Operation Javier, and I honestly hope that at some point we get some DLC for Operation Javier.
You've forgotten what happened 2 years ago. Operation Javier?
This time around, they also made Ashley way more likable.
Oh, my ears. Oh, shut up. Oh, you must be Ashley. Oh, my God.
Even though her AI can be extremely frustrating on higher difficulties.
Why is she just fucking standing there?
When she would appear in cutscenes, she'd come off like less pampered this time around, so it gives the player a little bit more incentive to not yeet her into the waste disposal. And overall, Leon and Ashley just have way more chemistry around this time, and it's pretty nice.
I was thinking, we work well together, don't we?
Aw. It's so sweet.
Also, why the fuck are the regenerators built so fucking thick? Capcom, are you trying to make me scared or horny? Now into the things that were just so-so. This isn't things that were bad or good, just stuff I don't really know how I feel about it yet. Separate Ways is now allegedly going to be a paid DLC, and I don't really know how to feel about it because apparently it's going to be way longer like the main game was, and if so, that would be totally fine, and I'd be fine paying extra money for it. But this still feels like they're kind of on thin ice, especially because Mercenaries wasn't even included in the game at launch, and we have to wait for it in an update, even if it is free. It just still goes into that whole practice of like releasing games to meet a certain deadline and not finishing them first. There's also some questionable bugs as well, like enemies straight up just clipping through walls. I mean, it's nothing game breaking, but it's definitely controller breaking. Again, the U3 being cut was kind of a downer because of how creepy it was in the original, and I don't know though, because the game was so much longer and harder than the original, it's kind of hard for me to miss it because I already feel like it's still a complete game. But I feel like I'll care more about this as I get better at the game and I start beating it quicker, and then I realize maybe that would have been a better part of the game just to have it in. So I don't really know how to feel about that still. Now the things I actually didn't like. Before I get into this, I just want to put a quick disclaimer. I am fully aware a lot of these complaints border on nitpicky. Therefore, it does not change anything I have said prior. I think the game is phenomenal, so don't be a little bitch. The voice acting is really bad with some characters. Ashley and Lewis are actually fine. I think, honestly, even though the original Ashley was literally Sandy Cheeks, I think that the new Ashley voice actor is a little bit more suiting. And Lewis, again, really played his character super well. But honestly, half the game, Leon just sounded really disinterested and sounded like he didn't really care to be there.
Maybe someday I'll become an agent like you. What do you think? We could protect the US from any and all threats.
Is that right? Well, either way, first we have to make it out of here.
You're no fun.
No way, Leon!
Way?
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
Wesker and Ado also sounded like they were just the first people who showed up for the audition. I don't really know. I know there was some controversy with the original voice actor for Wesker, but you can't replace him, man. Now he just sounds like a chud.
We're talking millions of casualties.
Billions.
And then on top of that too, I also just happen to think Paul and Matthew Mercer were iconic as Leon. But yeah, overall, some of the absolute best lines from the game were cut, which I wasn't mad about originally because I was aware of the tone they wanted to go for with the game. I said to myself, I was like, you know what, they're going to make it darker. I know they're probably not going to add as many jokes and stuff like that, but there's trophies named after them. So it was kind of like, why couldn't you just leave them in the game? Those were like the best parts. And I know, I'm sure myself and many other fans when playing the game we're quoting those exact lines, waiting for them to come up, because they kind of baited us in with the demo, with the bingo line. They were like, see, we kept the best lines from the original, and they still cut pretty much all the original ones after that. Now, overall, even though the plot inconsistencies were fixed this time around and the characters had a lot more lore added, the presentation of the original was just a lot better in certain instances. For example, the original had some of the most iconic cutscenes, and a lot of them were actually pretty creepy. Whereas in the remake, it kind of just gets right into things and it doesn't build up the gameplay segment to follow very well. Take, for example, the interaction with the village chief. When the bosses transform, they kind of just explode now, but in the original, you'd see the claws grow and the clothing being ripped off, and then he splits in half. It's presented really, really well. But in the remake, he just kind of explodes. And this also happens with the new transformation with Salazar too. The tentacles slowly wrap around Salazar and the other guard, and it slowly engulfs them into the monster. All of this being perfectly tied together by Paul Mercer's confident voice as Leon amping you up for the fight.
Monsters. Guess after this there'll be one less to worry about.
Like I said, half the time Leon just doesn't really sound interested in being there, even though he is cracking jokes, doesn't really have the same level of confidence Paul added to the character.
Get off my back, old man! Well, I really don't give a damn. Rain or shine, you're going down.
I feel like overall the cutscenes just lacked the impact that the originals did, and I find myself skipping them way more than I did in the original. And then, moving on, I don't really know why they made the village chief look like Mr. X. I mean, the village chief never slammed through walls and shit, and he also never wore a hat. And if you think I'm crazy and this is just me nitpicking, he literally has the same animations as Mr. X when you're running from him. Going back to Leon's character a little bit, I don't know why they made him so neutered in this game. In the original, when meeting Ada, he immediately calls her out for working with Wesker and Umbrella, and in this he just kind of takes all the shit Ada throws at him. Even Wesker treats him like a cuck, which is the polar opposite of the original, when Leon is actually seen as a threat to Wesker's plans, so much to the point that Wesker literally tells Ada to kill him.
If you do happen to encounter him, put him out of commission. We can't let him interfere with our plans.
He has no idea what's going on. He's nothing we need to worry about.
He's a survivor of Raccoon City. We can do without the extra distraction. Take him out.
As long as you can keep your dog under control.
He's a good boy. Predictable.
Fine. Keep your mud.
Again, very minor stuff. I'm not gonna say this is gonna damper my whole, liking of the game to the point where I'm like, oh man, this game sucks now. Because overall, it still was faithful. It's just little things like that, that the original just did so well. So with all this in mind now, where does the game stand? Overall, most of, if not all, the changes that were made, at least plot and gameplay wise, were really fantastic, and they truly built upon the original game in every way, with the exploration and completely fleshed out combat system and the trading system. I mean, the game is totally worth the $60 price tag, even with the mercenaries not in the game yet. For a first time playthrough, even if you've played the game before, you're looking at least 12 to 15 hours the first time if you really explore everything. It's just also a faithful retelling of the original, even minus my few little nitpicks. I still, however, believe, unlike the remake of RE1 that basically renders the original obsolete, RE4, on the other hand, is still a game that both the original and remake offer different but really amazing experiences with. I would say while the remake offers better lore and more expansive gameplay, the original still had the better overall presentation of the actual story. Yeah, that's gonna conclude this video. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and have yourselves a wonderful day. But before you do that, make sure you subscribe for more videos like this, because I have a lot of Resident Evil 4 tip and trick videos coming out, and I upload review style videos like this all the time. So if you liked my humor, you liked my editing style, whatever it was, definitely make sure you subscribe for more, because I am uploading all the time, usually once a week I try to. Go check everything out, and have a good one.
Something I want to show you. Something magical and full of wonder.